Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a single topic, plunge into the source material, in this case, an astonishingly broad catalog of recipes, and emerge with the most important nuggets of insight.
Mm.
Today, we are talking about tomatoes. Now, if you're like most people, you think tomato, you think maybe 4 or 5 applications, marinara, slicer for a sandwich, or maybe a simple salad.
And that assumption is precisely what makes this deep dive so compelling. This collection of recipes proves that the tomato is not just versatile, but, it's transcendent.
Yeah.
We have unearthed over 50 unique preparations here, spanning every single course of a meal, challenging every assumption we hold about this single fruit.
Absolutely. Our mission today is to go far beyond just, reading ingredients.
Right.
We are meticulously dissecting this catalog, extracting the diversity of flavors, the technical reasons behind the preparation methods, and the surprising global applications represented here. We want to show you, the listener, how the tomato fundamentally changes depending on when and how it's handled.
And the sheer scope is the initial hook. Just looking at the table of contents signals, we're in for a ride. We start with, historical necessity like Amish tomato cup.
Right.
We see sophisticated integrations such as artichoke and sun-dried tomato pizza, but the title that stops everyone in their tracks.
The one that proves the tomato knows no boundaries.
Exactly. It's the Bangor Tomato Devil's food cake.
The cake is coming, I promise, but we have to earn it. We have to understand the fundamental nature of the tomato first.
Mhm.
So let's begin at the beginning. Preservation. When you are dealing with an ingredient that is so intensely seasonal and perishable, how you store it defines your cooking year. Section 1 is dedicated to concentrates, relishes, and some really intense flavor work.
Okay, let's analyze the first major technique. We start with the intriguing Amish tomato cup, found right at the front of the catalog. This isn't just about, cooking tomatoes down.
No.
This is a highly spiced, multi-step, savory preservation technique, almost like a historical ketchup or relish, intended to maximize flavor concentration.
And the ingredients really lay out that foundational tension between sweet and savory.
They do.
The base is hearty, about 3 pounds of quartered tomatoes supported by 6 sliced celery cuts and 2 medium diced onions. But then comes the balance, the sweet acid required for preservation. A full cup of dark brown packed sugar and 5 tablespoons of vinegar.
But what really defines the cup is the powerful spice profile. We are looking at a half tablespoon each of all spice berries, celery seeds, and whole cloves.
Okay.
And here's where it gets interesting. 1 full teaspoon of powdered mace. Mace is the outer covering of the nutmeg seed, known for adding a slightly sweeter, delicate warmth, and it's a classic preservation spice.
And that all blends with a half teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 cup of water for the initial cook.
Yeah, and the preparation deep dive shows why this is an artisanal, high-effort endeavor. It's a dedicated 2-part cooking process.
So first, you boil the celery and onions in that 1/4 cup of water.
For about 25 minutes until they are perfectly soft. Separately, the 3 pounds of tomatoes are cooked slowly in a large, thick saucepan, partially covered, for about 25 minutes until they completely soften into a thick puree.
And once that's all soft, you combine the cooked onions, celery, and the tomato puree.
And cook for 15 minutes more to further integrate the flavors. But here is the critical technical instruction.
The one that tells you exactly what they're achieving.
Exactly. You must strain this entire mixture into a separate saucepan, making sure to squeeze out all liquids from the solids.
Okay, let's unpack that why. Why the dramatic effort to strain out all the juice and water?
It's a combination of chemistry and physics, and it's essential for old-world preservation. You are eliminating excess water, not just to concentrate the tomato flavor, but to maximize the effective concentration of the sugar and the acid.
The vinegar.
The vinegar, right, that you were about to add. By reducing the water content, you increase the density of the solution, which raises the osmotic pressure potential.
Which is crucial for long-term flavor stability and historical preservation before, reliable refrigeration or modern canning was widespread.
An intellectual shortcut to intense flavor.
So it's sacrificing volume for density and longevity. That makes sense. Once strained, you add the sugar, the cup, and the vinegar, bring it back to a boil, and then you have to dedicate 15 to 20 minutes to constantly stir it.
And you have to ensure that rich, thick, sugar-heavy mixture doesn't stick and scorch on the pan's bottom. It really requires attention.
Exactly. That constant stirring transforms it into that dense, heavily spiced, and acidic concentrate.
Yeah, but a key point for the listener, though, is the storage note. While it's preserved, This type of preparation, once cooled and jarred, still requires refrigeration and is only good for a maximum of 2 months.
So it's a concentrate, not a fully shelf-stable, pressure-canned item.
Correct.
Now, let's pivot from ripe tomatoes used in concentrates to the equally foundational green tomato, which naturally lends itself to pickling and chutneys because of its high pectin content and firm structure.
Right.
We have 3 examples that really span the full spectrum of green tomato application.
And recipe 6, apple and green tomato chutney, is just a masterpiece of large batch traditional preservation. We're talking massive scale here.
Oh yeah, 12 tart green apples that need washing, coring, blanching, and peeling. A huge effort. Plus 24 small green tomatoes, 4 medium onions, 3 cups of seedless raisins.
And 2.5 cups of brown sugar and 4 cups of cider vinegar. The ratio of ingredients tells you this is a serious culinary endeavor.
The spice profile here is robust, designed to cut through all that sugar and fruit. It includes 2 tablespoons of salt, 1.5 tablespoons of powdered curry, and a half teaspoon of crushed dry chilies.
And the touch of tradition we see in so many catalogs. 3 tablespoons of pickling mix tied securely in a cloth bag, designed to be steeped and then removed.
The canning process detail is worth dwelling on here.
It is. All those ingredients, along with the vinegar, are placed in a kettle and boiled for about 25 minutes, stirred occasionally until the apples turn transparent.
Which indicates they are cooked through, but the work isn't done.
Not at all. The apples are then removed. The remaining liquid is boiled rapidly until it thickens further. That's concentrating the syrup. You then discard the spiced bag, return the fruit, reboil, and then you process the sealed jars in a boiling water bath for 10 minutes.
That is a comprehensive, complicated process. It's a multi-day technique resulting in robust flavor development and long-term shelf stability. Contrast that heavy cooking with Aunt May's pickled green tomatoes, recipe 10. This is all about simplicity and volume.
It requires 15 pounds of fresh picked green tomatoes and minimal instruction. Simply slice the tomatoes, combine all the remaining ingredients, and mix well.
15 pounds is a serious commitment to pickling.
It is. The brine components are simple but effective. 1 cup of pickling salt, 5 cups of sugar, 2 quarts of boiled water, 2 cups of cider vinegar, 2 cinnamon sticks, and 1 clove. But the real key here, the technical nugget, is the inclusion of a half tablespoon of alum powder.
Right. Why alum? We need to expand on how it works, beyond just maintaining crispness.
Absolutely. Alum is aluminum sulfate, a chemical setting agent. It interacts with the pectin in the cell walls of the green tomato, effectively stiffening those walls
Oh, interesting.
and ensuring that even after sitting in the brine for a long period, the tomatoes retain a desirable snappy texture instead of turning soft and mushy.
It's a classic traditional trick used when you want a quick, uncooked pickle that still maintains integrity.
That's it.
So if the green tomato chutney required intense heat and the Aunt May's recipe required a strong alum brine solution, Aunt Ruby's fresh tomato relish, recipe 11, takes a complete flavor flip toward freshness.
It does. This is a non-cooked contrast. It relies on the natural juiciness and acid of the right fruit. You use 3 cups of peeled, seeded, and chopped tomatoes, combined with a half cup each of chopped green pepper and chopped onion.
And the dressing is a sweet and sour infusion. A 1/4 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of celery seeds, an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of salt, and a half cup of vinegar.
And the instruction is specific. Mix that dressing component separately until the sugar fully dissolves before pouring the mix over.
Why the separate mixing?
Because if you dumped granulated sugar right onto the fresh tomatoes, it would immediately start drawing out their liquid through osmosis, creating a watery mess and preventing the sugar from dissolving properly.
Ah, got it.
Mixing the dressing first ensures you have a unified, balanced flavor solution that simply coats and infuses the fresh vegetables.
It highlights the fundamental duality of the tomato. The unripe fruit requires intense processing, while the ripe fruit can be handled gently, relying on its natural sweetness and moisture. That transition takes us perfectly into section 2, moving from preservation to immediate consumption. The pasta landscape. What's fascinating here is how the tomato is adapted for speed, for richness, and specifically for those delicate pasta cuts like angel hair or capellini.
The repeating motif of angel hair is a critical culinary insight we need to highlight right away. It's not a coincidence.
Or
Angel hair, or capellini, is the finest, quickest cooking pasta shape. Its fine structure means it cannot physically hold up to a heavy, long-simmered, meat-laden sauce like a rigatoni or a pappardelle can.
So the tomato preparations paired with angel hair must be quick, light, or freshly assembled, respecting the fragility of the pasta.
Exactly. It dictates the technique. Let's look at the 3 quick angel hair recipes that lean toward minimal cooking. Recipe 2. Angel hair pasta and stewed tomatoes is the definition of convenience.
The sauce is built almost entirely from pre-processed components. 2 cans of stewed tomatoes, 1 cup of chopped steamed broccoli, 3 chopped garlic cloves,
2 teaspoons of fresh oregano, 1 teaspoon of thyme, 1 teaspoon of basil, and lemon juice from 1 small lemon. The instruction is essentially just assembly.
Yeah, you steam the broccoli, add it to everything else, mix it with a box of pre-cooked angel hair, and serve.
It's the ultimate pantry raid recipe. The genius is using the strong, fresh herbs, oregano, thyme, basil, and that hit of lemon juice to elevate the flavor of the canned tomatoes, making it taste fresher than the ingredients suggest.
It's maximizing flavor with minimal effort. Now, if you want something even fresher, we look at the raw produce approach in recipe 4. Angel hair pasta with fresh tomato and basil sauce.
This relies entirely on the quality of raw, peak season produce. It calls for 7 skinned, coarsely chopped tomatoes, a 1/3 cup of chopped basil, a 1/4 cup of chopped parsley, a 1/3 cup of sliced green olives, 2 minced scallions.
And 3 tablespoons of olive oil, salt, and pepper. The speed is absolute. Combine the ingredients, toss with the drained pasta, and serve immediately.
This preparation is a celebration of the raw tomato's natural acidity. The basil and parsley provide the aromatic backbone, and the sliced green olives introduce that salty, briny Mediterranean counterpoint.
No cooking needed for the sauce whatsoever.
And then there's the angel hair tomato basil toss, recipe 5, which sits right in the middle, a lightly cooked sauce base, but still astonishingly fast.
The base preparation is simple. In a skillet, you warm a 1/2 cup of olive oil, quickly stir-fry a 1/4 cup of sliced green onions and 2 minced garlic cloves for just 1 minute.
Right, you're simply blooming the aromatics. Then you add 2 tablespoons of fresh basil, 3 large peeled and diced tomatoes, pepper and salt, and cook for only 2 more minutes, stirring frequently.
Why only 2 minutes?
You are warming the tomatoes and encouraging them to release a tiny bit of juice, mixing with the herb oils, but you are specifically avoiding full sauce consistency.
So the tomatoes should remain largely intact, adding pops of warm freshness.
Exact.
The flexibility of this recipe for the learner is huge too. After tossing the mix with the pasta, you can add your choice of protein 6 cooked and crumbled bacon slices, or 1 cup of cooked ham, or turkey, or chicken.
It's designed to absorb leftovers beautifully and is finished simply with Parmesan. That trio of recipes, fully canned, fully raw, and lightly cooked, demonstrates the gradient of speed possible when treating tomatoes as a fast cooking component for delicate pasta.
Okay, moving on to the richer, deeper territory, we find sauces that require longer simmer times or incorporate heavier elements like cream or substantial seafood.
Recipe 3. Angel hair pasta with tomato scallop sauce. Keeps the angel hair but adds richness through seafood and a simmer. It uses a pack of Louis Kemp scallops and 2 16-ounce cans of diced tomatoes.
The foundation is built by sautéing a medium chopped onion, some minced garlic, and a small chopped bell pepper in 2 tablespoons of olive oil until tender.
Then you add in the oregano, pepper, salt, and the diced tomatoes. The crucial instruction is the simmer. Boil for about a minute, then reduce the heat and simmer for 10 minutes.
Okay, so this allows the onion, pepper, and canned tomato flavors to integrate into a cohesive sauce.
Right, and the scallops are then gently stirred in and simmered for just 3 more minutes before serving. Even with the richness, the total sauce time is kept under 15 minutes, respecting the delicate pasta.
A major flavor departure requiring a higher level of dedicated cooking time is recipe 56, bow ties with sausage, tomatoes, and cream. This is unapologetically rich.
Oh yeah, it uses 1 pound of sweet Italian sausage, crumbled, and 1½ cups of whipped cream.
This recipe dictates a dedication to building a dark, savory base. The first 7 minutes are spent browning the crumbled sausage with a 1/2 teaspoon of dry red pepper flakes.
Then you add the aromatics, a 1/2 cup of diced onions and a generous amount of minced garlic, and cook for another 7 minutes until the onions are perfectly tender and the sausage has developed deeper browned crusts.
That 14 minutes of focused browning and sautéing is the engine of the flavor profile.
And only then do you add the liquids. The whipped cream, the coarsely chopped Italian-style plum tomatoes, and the salt. It only simmers for 4 minutes to allow the cream to thicken slightly before being mixed with the al dente bow tie pasta.
The choice of whipped cream over heavy cream is interesting, isn't it?
It is. It suggests a lighter, possibly airier texture, while still imparting that buttery richness required to carry the heavy Italian sausage flavor. It's a subtle technical adjustment for texture.
It prevents the sauce from becoming overwhelmingly dense while still coating the bow ties effectively.
Exactly. Finally, we return to the finer cut with recipe 63, capellini with fresh tomato and basil sauce, which is the fresh approach scaled up and introducing a key time element, marination.
This is a large quantity recipe. 2 pounds of plum tomatoes, 1 cup of chopped basil leaves, 3/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil, 3 tablespoons of sherry vinegar.
And the salty counterpoint of rinsed and drained capers. The plum tomatoes are important here because their lower water content, compared to beefsteaks, prevents the sauce from becoming too thin during marination.
And the truly unique instruction is to combine the basil and tomatoes and marinate them overnight in the refrigerator, or for 1 to 2 hours at room temperature.
Which is fundamentally different from a cook. What are we achieving with this long, cold soak?
You are intentionally rupturing the cells of the basil and the tomato over time, allowing the essential oils of the basil to deeply infuse the tomato's natural moisture. It's not about softening or changing the structure through heat, it's about aromatic saturation.
And when you add the vinegar, capers, and oil right before serving, you have a cold, deeply flavored, almost enzymatic preparation.
And they instruct you to let the finished sauce sit on the capellini for another 5 or 6 minutes before serving.
Yeah, that time allows the fine pasta strands to fully absorb those raw, cold, aromatic juices, maximizing the flavor experience. It beautifully wraps up this section by contrasting the coup's long, hot preservation with the capellini's long, cold, aromatic preservation.
Section 3 shifts our perspective entirely, exploring the tomato not just as an ingredient within a dish, but as a vessel, an edible, natural bowl ready for various fillings. We're talking stuffed and baked preparations.
And the most elegant and architecturally demanding example of this vessel concept is undoubtedly baked eggs in tomato shells, recipe 28.
The prep here is vital for success. You cut the stem ends thin, scoop out the pulp, and then critically, you sprinkle the insides with salt. Then, the recipe explicitly tells you to invert the shells on a cutting board and allow them to drain for at least 10 minutes.
And this graining step is non-negotiable. It prevents a catastrophic result.
How so?
Well, when you bake a tomato, it releases moisture. If you salt and drain it beforehand, you draw out the excess liquid that would otherwise dilute the egg and turn your beautiful baked dish into a watery scramble.
It's a simple mechanical process ensuring the integrity of the final baked product. The seasoning mix is meticulous and classic. A half teaspoon of crushed tarragon leaves, a wonderful pairing with egg, 1 teaspoon of onion seasoning, a 1/3 teaspoon of black pepper, and an 1/8 teaspoon of salt.
A small amount of this mix is sprinkled inside each shell before a large egg is broken right into it. They're baked at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 30 minutes. But the finish is the true flourish.
Right, a small mixture of softened breadcrumbs, flaked parsley, and Parmesan is combined.
But this mixture is not sprinkled over the egg. It's sprinkled around the outer edge of the tomato, dotted with butter or margarine, and then briefly broiled for 1 to 2 minutes until lightly browned.
That provides a textural contrast, the softness of the baked egg and tomato against the sharp, buttery crunch of the Parmesan breadcrumb ring. It's a very sophisticated contrast built on meticulous technique.
It is. We can contrast that high-effort bake with the chilled, raw stuffings. Take avocado stuffed tomatoes, recipe 20. This is lightning fast, health-focused, and all about clean flavor.
The filling is mashed ripe avocado mixed with just 2 drops of lemon juice, a pinch of chili seasoning, a pinch of coriander, 2 tablespoons of chopped celery, a teaspoon of chopped parsley, salt, and alfalfa sprouts.
So it prioritizes fresh, herbaceous flavor and a creamy texture. A richer cousin is the avocado and mozzarella cheese stuffed tomatoes, recipe 19.
Here, the filling is substantial. 2 large cubed avocados and a significant 6 ounces of cubed mozzarella. The richness requires a much stronger, more complex dressing to balance it.
And that dressing delivers. It's 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 5 chopped garlic cloves, 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, 2 tablespoons of white wine, 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped basil, and 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard.
That dressing is blended, tossed with the cubes until coated, and then used to stuff the tomato halves.
The acid here, the balsamic, the white wine, the Dijon, is necessary to cut the richness of the avocado and the density of the mozzarella. It transforms a simple salad into a vibrant, textural stuffing.
It's a key principle we keep seeing. Acid is the tomato's best friend, whether it's raw or cooked.
Absolutely.
Moving back to cooked, savory fillings, we find the Cajun stuffed tomatoes, recipe 61. This is heavy on savory protein.
The filling includes 1 pound of coarsely chopped andouille sausage, a half cup each of chopped celery and green bell pepper, 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, 2 teaspoons of crushed thyme, and 2 lightly whisked eggs.
The sausage is browned, the vegetables and thyme are cooked until tender, and then the eggs are added off the heat to bind the mixture without scrambling.
After stuffing the scooped and drained tomato shells, they are baked on a baking sheet, crucially with half an inch of water in the pan.
The water is a simple steam bath, right?
Exactly. It helps steam the tomato from the outside, keeping it tender while ensuring the high-protein sausage-heavy stuffing inside remains moist and doesn't dry out during the 20 to 25 minutes of baking.
It's a simple, high-impact technical detail.
One final example of a savory baked stuffing is baked tomatoes stuffed with leeks, recipe 40. Here, the leek is the star. After preparing the 6 tomato shells, 2 small leeks are sliced finely and cooked in 4 tablespoons of olive oil until soft, seasoned with pepper, salt, and Tabasco hot sauce.
The subtle sweet onion flavor of the cooked leeks is meant to shine. The filling is scooped into the tomatoes, topped with a tablespoon of dried breadcrumbs, and finished with a half-teaspoon oil drizzle over each before baking for about 12 minutes.
It shows how the tomato can provide a gentle, watery backdrop for other delicate flavors like leek. Beyond the stuffed shells, we see the tomato integrated into layered bakes, utilizing its acidity and moisture as a core flavor layer.
Recipe 38, baked tomatoes and corn, is a prime example of that.
Yeah, a complex layered casserole. The initial step is key. Draining the fluid from canned tomatoes and then simmering the remaining tomatoes with 1 tablespoon of sugar for 5 minutes.
Why that simmering step?
Even though the tomatoes are canned, you are still actively concentrating the flavor, slightly caramelizing the sugars and thickening them up for the bake. Then you combine this concentrated tomato base with 16 ounces of frozen corn, 2 chopped onions, 1 chopped green bell pepper,
Margarine, salt, pepper, a pinch of rosemary, and 2 tablespoons of chili Colorado. This vegetable mixture is cooked slowly for 15 minutes.
chili Colorado, a mild chili powder used for color and depth, and rosemary with corn and tomato creates a distinct profile, blending Mediterranean aromatics with southwestern spice.
The assembly then involves alternating layers of this vegetable mix, 2 cups of dried breadcrumbs, and 1 cup of grated cheese, baking it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit until the cheese is browned. It's a substantial, complete meal in one dish.
And recipe 41, baked tomatoes with orzo and olives, is lighter and thoroughly Mediterranean. It's notable for using 4 large yellow tomatoes.
Yellow tomatoes offer a milder, less acidic flavor than reds, providing a softer backdrop for the powerful filling. 3 cups of cooked orzo, a quarter cup of chopped olives, 3 tablespoons of chopped basil,
A teaspoon of chopped garlic, 3 teaspoons of toasted pound nuts, and extra virgin olive oil. After stuffing, they are finished with Parmesan and baked. The inclusion of pine nuts and olives adds crucial textural contrast and salinity to the soft orzo and mild yellow tomato.
It's an intellectual dish, balancing softness, crunch, and salt. Finally, we have the ultimate simplicity in baked zucchini with tomatoes, recipe 42. This is purely visual and textural. Slices of 3 zucchini and 2 tomatoes are arranged in an overlapping, alternating pattern in a dish.
And the topping is just a chopped yellow onion, a chopped green sweet pepper, salt, pepper, and a quarter cup of olive oil drizzled over the slices. It's baked uncovered for 25 minutes.
That overlap ensures the tomato's moisture penetrates and softens the zucchini, while the open baking allows the zucchini edges to crisp slightly. Simple but effective technique.
Absolutely.
Our deep dive is starting to reveal that the tomato is less an ingredient and more a facilitator, a complex acid and moisture source that can enhance any flavor profile. Section 4 specifically explores how tomatoes pair with various proteins, spanning sophisticated seafood to hearty Asian stir-fries, demonstrating the tomato's true global and technical adaptability.
Let's start with one of the most technical preparations in the catalog. Baked fish with tomato orange confit, recipe 30. This is not just a quick sauce, it is the creation of a confit.
A confit traditionally implies slow cooking in fat or syrup until meltingly tender. How does that apply here?
Well, here, the technique is applied to the fruit. The preparation for the confits starts with rehydrating 4 sun-dried tomatoes in boiling water. This concentrates their umami flavor, and then chopping them.
The aromatic base is critical.
Yeah, it is. We saute a half cup of minced onion and 1 minced garlic clove in olive oil for 10 minutes until deeply softened. This is a foundational step, building a sweet, soft, savory layer.
Then we add the fresh and dried tomatoes, 2 tablespoons of orange-flavored juice, 2 tablespoons of grated orange rind, 2 tablespoons of lime juice.
a half teaspoon each of crushed dried tarragon and crushed fennel seed, plus a pinch of cayenne pepper. This cooks for another 10 minutes.
That is a stunning combination of aromatics, tarragon, fennel, and citrus paired with the cayenne for heat.
And what happens after 10 minutes is the game changer. The finishing touch for the confit is folding in 2-sectioned peeled oranges, black pepper, and crucially, 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter.
The butter, once melted, enrobes all the fruit and spice, thickening the sauce slightly and adding richness and mouthfeel.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the fish fillets, about 1 pound and 2/3, are baked separately at a very high heat, 450 degrees Fahrenheit, for 12 minutes before the confit is spooned over top.
So the quick, hot cook ensures the fish is tender and flaky, while the confit provides the acidic counterpoint.
Right. Now compare that meticulous confit to the quick, rustic flavor of baked halibut with stewed tomatoes, recipe 33.
The sauce base here starts with melting butter and cooking 2 sliced onions for a full 10 minutes until they begin to brown. We are talking serious caramelization and depth.
Then you add 1½ cups of canned plum tomatoes, broken up with a fork, along with salt and pepper. It cooks for just 3 minutes.
Not a lot of time.
No, it's not enough time for the flavors to fully meld, but it's enough time for the high heat to penetrate and thicken the sauce lightly. The halibut is seasoned, topped with this sauce, sprinkled with dry basil, and baked at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes.
The difference in sauce sophistication is vast. This one is quick, hearty, and relies on the browning of the onions for its depth. Now for a red meat application with a strong European flair. Basque lamb chops with tomatoes and olives, recipe 45. 6 lamb chops are seasoned, lightly dredged in flour, and quickly cooked in Spanish oil for 2 to 6 minutes per side until properly seared.
The key technique comes after the chops are removed. The remaining brown bits, the fond in the skillet, are essential. You pour in 1/3 cup of dried white wine, stirring and scraping those bits off the bottom. That is the classic technique of deglazing.
And for our learner audience, deglazing is simply using liquid, often wine or stock, to dissolve the flavorful caramelized solids stuck to the bottom of the pan after sautéing, integrating them into the final sauce.
That's it. It's a fundamental step that extracts maximum flavor from the pan. Once deglazed, you add 1 pound of ripe tomatoes peeled, seeded, and chopped, and a ½ cup of sliced Spanish olives.
This sauce is cooked quickly, 4 to 5 minutes, over mid-heat, seasoned, and poured over the chops.
And that quick cook preserves the bright, raw quality of the ripe tomato, providing a burst of acidity against the richness of the lamb and the fat.
Okay, shifting gears completely, let's explore the tomato's role in an East Asian context, specifically stir-fries, where flavors are often built with soy, ginger, and garlic, and thickened with cornstarch.
Recipe 16, asparagus tomato stir-fry, sets the baseline. It uses a base of vegetable oil, sliced green onions, asparagus, and diced mushrooms. The thickening agent is a classic Asian slurry: cornstarch, water, soy sauce, and salt.
And the cooking technique is pure wok choreography.
Heat the oil, stir-fry the onions and asparagus for a few minutes, add the mushrooms, stir-fry again, then add the cornstarch mix until it bubbles and thickens to a glossy finish.
The insight here is timing. The tomatoes, just 2 small wedges, are added near the very end.
That timing is crucial for texture. If you add the tomatoes earlier, they disintegrate, releasing too much water and muddying the sauce. Adding them last ensures they remain firm, adding a warm, juicy burst of fruit and acid just before serving.
Then we have the flavorful bean sprouts with tomatoes, recipe 46. This introduces a very strong, savory foundational element.
Yeah, 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 4 cloves of garlic, and 2 tablespoons of soybean paste are stir-fried in a wok for about a minute.
Soybean paste is rich, fermented, and provides deep umami, a completely different flavor profile than the preserved Italian or French tomatoes we've seen.
To that rich base, you add 4 cups of bean sprouts, 3 quartered tomatoes, 1 sliced red chili pepper, and 1 quartered yellow onion, and stir-fry for about 2 minutes.
Again, a very fast cook to maintain the crunch of the sprouts. It's finished with 4 tablespoons each of chopped cilantro and chopped green onions.
And the fresh herbs and onions added at the end provide a sharp, raw counterpoint to the deep, salty savoriness of the soybean paste.
Recipe 48, beef and tomatoes herb chow, is incredibly interesting because it links back to our very first section.
It does. It features sliced beef, skinned tomato wedges, minced ginger and garlic, and a 1/4 cup of our old friend, the tomato cup.
This confirms the cup's versatility. It's not just a standalone relish. It's a dense seasoning agent, providing that concentrated sweet-spiced depth to an Asian dish where you might otherwise use a strong commercial ketchup or chili sauce.
Exactly. The beef is half cooked and removed. Then the vegetables are cooked and the water, sugar, salt, and the cup are added, thickened with a cornstarch slurry, and then served over rice or chow mein. The cook provides a hidden layer of concentrated, complex acid and sweetness that supports the savory beef beautifully.
It shows how traditional European preservation techniques can cross cultural lines. Finally, beef and tomatoes, recipe 50, focuses on a flank steak marinade.
The 2 pounds of flank steak are thinly sliced and marinated for a substantial 8 to 10 hours with soy sauce, sherry, powdered ginger, garlic, and black pepper.
That long marinade allows the sherry and soy to tenderize and deeply flavor the beef before it ever hits the wok.
The cooking involves sautéing onion and green pepper, adding the beef, and then adding beef bouillon to simmer for about 8 minutes. It's thickened with a cornstarch slurry.
And the final, gentle instruction is paramount. Only after the sauce has thickened do you gently add the 4 medium tomato wedges, cover, and simmer for just 3 minutes.
This is deliberate pacing. The tomatoes are added only for warming, not for cooking. After the lengthy marinade and braise of the beef, the tomato remains structurally intact, providing a warm, sweet acid burst of freshness in stark contrast to the rich, savory, deeply marinated sauce.
The texture contrast is key to this dish's success.
Absolutely.
We have saved the most inventive, surprising, and frankly, boundary-pushing recipes for Section 5, the edge of tomato cuisine. This is where we see tomatoes transform into savory cookies, sophisticated appetizers, and the ultimate culinary curveball, dessert.
Let's ease into the surprising uses with bacon and tomato wafers, recipe 25. This is a savory cookie, using the tomato not for texture, but purely as a flavor and color component within a dense matrix.
The structure is classic shortbread cookie dough, 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 6 tablespoons of warm butter, and a 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan.
The flavor injection comes from 2 teaspoons of tomato paste, 3 crumbled bacon slices, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of dill seeds.
And tomato paste is essentially a hyper-concentrated form of the cup we discussed earlier, minus the strong spices.
Right. Here, it acts as a deep red colorant and a rich, umami depth provider in the dough. The key technique is forming the dough into a cylinder, wrapping it and chilling it for several hours until firm. This allows for precise, clean slicing into those characteristic 1/8 inch thick rounds.
They're then baked quickly until the edges are lightly browned, transforming the tomato paste and bacon into an elegant, crunchy, savory wafer, perfect for an appetizer or cheese course.
And now, we cannot avoid it any longer. The recipe that defines the audacity of this entire catalog.
Bangor Tomato Devil's Food Cake with classic frosting, recipe 31.
This recipe fundamentally redefines the tomato's utility. It's an elaborate, old-school devil's food cake that includes a full 8-ounce can of tomato sauce right in the batter, alongside 2 cups of cake flour, sweet chocolate, dark brown packed sugar, milk, cream, and eggs.
This is not a casual bake. The mixing process is complex and technical.
It is. It starts with cooking sugar, milk, and 1 egg yolk over a double boiler until smooth, a delicate custard base. Separately, the dry ingredients are sifted.
Then you beat the butter and sugar until light and fluffy, adding the remaining yolks gradually. The cooked yolk mixture is added slowly. Then the vanilla, cream, and tomato sauce are combined in another bowl and poured slowly into the batter, alternating with the flour mixture.
And finally, stiff beaten egg whites are gently folded in before baking.
Okay, we have to address the why here. Does a devil's food cake taste like tomatoes? This is the single most compelling question.
And the overwhelming consensus among those who analyze this type of historical cake recipe is no, you do not taste the tomato. The tomato sauce, which is essentially a thick acidic puree, performs 3 functions.
Okay, what are they?
First, it's a powerful moisturizing agent, similar to the function of pumpkin puree or zucchini in baking.
Okay, that makes sense.
Second, and critically, the acidity reacts with the baking soda and baking powder, providing an incredible lift in tenderizing the crumb, much like buttermilk or vinegar would in certain cakes. The acid reacts vigorously, creating tiny air pockets.
And
third, the subtle umami and depth of the tomato enhances the cocoa flavor, preventing the chocolate from tasting flat or overly sweet. It's a hidden structural and flavor agent, not the star flavor itself.
It's an intellectual leap of faith that pays off in texture.
It is. And the accompanying frosting is pure classic technique, a cook's meringue style. It involves boiling 2½ cups of sugar, water, and corn syrup until it reaches the softball stage.
A precise temperature test where a spoonful dropped in cold water forms a ball.
Right. That scorching hot syrup is then slowly streamed into stiff beaten egg whites while mixing constantly until it cools and achieves that characteristic marshmallowy spreading consistency.
And the flavor agents blended in are vanilla and orange flavored juice.
So the tomato, acting as a background moistener in the cake, is paired with orange in the foreground of the frosting. A sophisticated, though surprising, fruit pairing.
Moving from dessert back to appetizers, we have two excellent examples of quick yet elegant chilled preparations. Recipe 14, avocado tomato salsa, stands out for its unique international flavor profile.
It uses 2 cubed avocados, 1 large cubed tomato, minced onions, sliced green onion, chopped cilantro, and 2 teaspoons of minced ginger. The liquid base is where the fusion occurs.
Right, 2 tablespoons of sake, a tablespoon and a half of oil, 1 teaspoon of Vietnamese sweet chili pepper sauce, and lime juice.
The combination of the rice wine sake and the specific Vietnamese sweet chili pepper sauce immediately pushes this far beyond a standard, chunky Mexican salsa. It adds an East Asian complexity and mild sweetness to the herbaceous, fresh, and fatty avocado base.
It's high-impact assembly requiring no cooking. For sheer presentation and elegance, you can't overlook black Thai tomatoes, recipe 54.
This is convenience dressed up for a fancy party. It uses 4 small tomatoes, sliced crosswise, and arranged elegantly. The topping is a chilled, simple blend.
A 1/4 cup of plain low-fat yogurt, 2 tablespoons of low-calorie mayonnaise, and a 1/4 teaspoon of powdered onion, which is mixed well and chilled for an hour to thicken.
So the neutral, creamy topping is designed to be a canvas for the luxurious final garnish.
And that garnish is the ultimate unexpected pairing. A small, precise amount of rinsed and drained black caviar placed atop every tomato half covered with the yogurt mix.
The yogurt mixture provides a bland, cool, and creamy base, allowing the tomato's acidity and the powerful saline mineral flavor of the caviar to dominate the entire profile. It's a genius piece of assembly, relying entirely on the quality and shock value of the ingredients.
Finally, let's appreciate the catalog's dedication to practicality and time-saving through bulk prep, an essential need for modern cooks.
Recipe 53, Beef Tomato Freezer Mix, is an efficiency masterclass. It's designed to create 4 quarts of highly usable base sauce.
It calls for 4 pounds of ground beef, 2½ large chopped onions, 1 cup of chopped green pepper, minced garlic, 3 cans of tomato sauce, and 1 can of tomato paste, plus seasoning.
The process involves browning the massive quantity of ground beef, draining the fat, a crucial step for freezer longevity, adding the remaining ingredients, bringing it to a boil, and simmering for just 15 minutes.
And the entire point of the recipe is the storage hack.
Exactly. Dividing the mixture into 4 1-quart containers, cooling quickly, and freezing for up to 3 months. This means you have a fully cooked, highly seasoned base ready for chili, tacos, pasta sauce, or casseroles.
Demonstrating that the tomato is foundational to efficiency cooking. And for convenience baking, recipe 55, BM mozzarella tomato bread, streamlines complex flavors via the bread machine.
It takes the complexity we saw in the earlier sections, sun-dried tomatoes, fresh basil, cheese, and reduces it to a simple automated load and start process.
All ingredients, including bread flour, yeast, water, mozzarella, sun-dried tomatoes, and basil, are placed in the machine, set to the white bread setting.
It removes all the hard work of mixing, kneading, and proofing, allowing the learner to achieve a high-flavor, highly textured loaf that includes the umami of sun-dried tomato without ever dirtying their hands.
It's the ultimate expression of the catalog, taking an intense flavor profile and making it accessible.
Yeah.
What an incredible journey through a single ingredient. Looking back across this entire catalog, the depth of technical knowledge required to utilize the tomato across all these preparations, from historical cup to modern freezer mix, is just astonishing. The tomato truly transitions seamlessly from an ancient preservative base to a complex confectionery item.
The core takeaway for you, the learner, is the tomato's dynamic range dictated by how you manage its moisture and acid. We saw preservation techniques requiring the removal of water for concentration versus fresh preparations where we leverage the water content for aromatic infusion.
True mastery of the tomato is understanding that its potential extends far beyond its color or shape.
Exactly. And the recurring themes provided a foundational understanding of flavor balance. The heavy reliance on fresh, aromatic herbs, basil, parsley, tarragon, was present in nearly every single preparation, whether raw or cooked.
And perhaps the most crucial constant was the use of vinegar or acid?
Absolutely. Be it alum in the quick pickles, white wine in the deglazed lamb, sherry vinegar in the marinated capellini, or the inherent acidity needed to react with the baking soda in the devil's food cake. Acid is always there to cut richness, prevent flatness, and provide structural integrity.
This deep dive showed us tomatoes lending depth to savory wafers, holding delicate baked eggs, enriching a devil's food cake, and serving as a neutral base for luxurious caviar. We saw tomatoes paired with everything from humble frozen corn to complex orange fennel confit.
So we must ask this of ourselves. If the common garden variety tomato can cross every culinary line, proving itself adaptable to both savory umami and structural dessert baking, what other everyday ingredients are we unconsciously limiting by our current assumptions? What culinary rules are you ready to break now that you know the true extent of the tomato's most surprisingly versatile repertoire?